You absolutely changed my life for the better.
Welcome.
Polk Community Free Clinic is a family of caring volunteers providing hospitality, medical care, and peripheral support to uninsured and underinsured patients in our communities.
It takes a lot of volunteer workers to run any kind of a program like this. It's all volunteer.
I am a triage nurse for the clinic.
I go to Western Oregon University, so I'm a senior this year.
I'm working at reception,
the profession of nursing, and
I'm the day clinic coordinator, and I facilitate the flow of patients between the nurses and the physicians.
Medical Spanish interpreters.
I do the prayer.
I'd like to start working as a clinic assistant.
I'm an emergency medicine physician.
From office to setup, to seeing the patients and take down again, and back to the office, the cycle continues.
my goodness, my favorite activity is teaching patients.
The only thing I guess that has stood out to me is just really seeing the need for interpreters, and if it wasn't for interpreters, a lot of our community members who are non-English speakers who mainly rely on Spanish wouldn't have that access to the healthcare because.
Yeah, I've been coming here for about a year now. I'm really happy with the services here. There's a lot of good people here that are very special to me, and I'm really happy with the services that they provide.
So some of our patients come and line up outside of our door, even as early as 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. We usually open the doors about 7:15.
Some patients are also scheduled during the weeks ahead of a clinic time. Once the patients come into the church setting, they fill out forms, get signed up for their care, just as you would in any clinic setting. After that, they have an opportunity to have some breakfast, coffee, juice, and snack. The nurses will triage the patients to determine the reason they're at the clinic that day, take their history, and determine their vitals and their medications. If there's time before the provider is available, the patient has an opportunity to join the prayer team for a time of prayer. At that time, they may also receive a Bible or a prayer shawl. We've received many stories about how prayer shawls have affected individuals' lives, including one from Cambodia. In this 4 years of our operating, we have given out over 300 prayer shawls. When a provider is available, an assistant who works with that provider will escort the patient into the room where the provider offers the services as in a regular clinic.
To have a small dispensary where physicians can write a prescription for patients available. They can go home with whether it's antibiotics, seizure medication, diabetes medication, and some of the medications come from doctors' clinics where they have samples that they've been given, and we have a limited budget where we are able to buy basic medication.
Order lab and imaging tests, which are usually done at West Valley, who provide eagerly and willingly our referrals and our requests. The providers can also make referrals to specialists or our educator. At Polk Community Free Clinic, we have a very intentional education program to help patients understand how to care for themselves and their illness. If the patient's primary language is not English, an interpreter will work with the patient at every step of the process, even helping them to complete follow-up paperwork. The assistants and nurses help patients complete the paperwork such as charity care, MedAssist, project access forms, or other referrals for further tests or treatments, schedule follow-up appointments. In the weeks between clinic, nurses and office workers track the patients and their tests, do care management as needed, contact patients for follow-up appointments, and monitor statistics and maintain medical records. On a typical day, there will be 2 to 3 providers, each seeing an average of 5 to 6 patients. Often more than half require an interpreter. In the 4 years since we saw our first patient, we have provided care for about 575 individuals.
So I'm Dr. Rebecca Lucas, and I have been volunteering here at the Free Clinic for about 2 years. I have felt that when I work in the emergency department that sometimes it's hard for our patients to get that follow-up or get the medications that they really deserve and need. And so one of our clinic providers, Dr. Bob Davies, talked to me and said, hey, we really need a need for you, and it really clicked for me to refer patients from the ED so that these patients get everything that they need. In fact, we just had a recent case about this where I was able to see a patient in the ED, and since they didn't have any insurance, they didn't know where else to go. And they were able to come here and get that care and get all of the consults that they need to help with their underlying problem. So yes, it's a very necessary function. We have a lot of people that can't get insurance, or even who have insurance and can't get a provider to help with their chronic medical problems. So this clinic is very well needed in this community. Sometimes I think it's actually a little better because normally through my emergency department, I may not be able to get a patient follow-up the way that I want to, or if their insurance doesn't allow them to have that kind of follow-up. Here, I fill out forms and I'm able to get those consultants done on a pretty regular basis.
We were out driving one day and your sign was up in front. It just blossomed. I mean, you guys were just absolutely phenomenal here. I mean, I think Gail's been the driving force as far as touching bases with me and how you doing, Steve, and because of not having any insurance, it was so expensive. Upon talking to Medicist, they were very positive, very helpful. I have had 0 problems since seeing Medicist. I have my medication daily. I was able to get health insurance, and the doctor wrote the script on it. Had it not been for the clinic, we would not be where we're at today. And it was the clinic that built the foundation. Able to move on to a regular provider, but I tell you what, we miss it here. We really miss it here. And if I had the choice, I would love to come back here. Although I love my provider, don't get me wrong.
Anyway, so he brought in Dr. Davies, who knows more about it, to listen. He goes, you need to go see a heart doctor. And that was never offered to us through the other doctor because he didn't have insurance.
Probably one of the smartest things you did do was to go back to that clinic, because I never thought I would be in a position to where I'm sitting down and trying to, are we going to pay bills this month or get the medication this month? The clinic, you guys saved me. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Yep.
I think the man upstairs had a hand in it.
He tapped on my shoulder and poked him in the ribs till he turned.
We're so happy we have you as friends. And we don't even consider it friends anymore, we consider it family. Well, somebody just asked me the other day, they said, if you had to say one thing about the Polk County Free Clinic, what would it be? About the people. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, you've changed my life.
I'm Carrie, and I have been working for a couple years now. At the church that I go to every Sunday, they would announce how many people accepted Christ. And Pastor, I said, you need to stop announcing that, because every Sunday I felt that God was calling me to go work at the clinic. And I'm a mom of 3 kids that are pretty young, and so I wasn't sure how I could work volunteering in a clinic and be a full-time stay-at-home mom. It brings me a lot of joy, and I feel like God allows me to be his hands. I honestly feel like I get more out of the clinic than maybe they do, but and there's one client in particular where he shares about what he's doing out in the community, but he's not able to get health insurance because it's not, and not only physically but emotionally and spiritually, and I love that this is a clinic that does holistic care. We are family, and we provide that type of environment.
What role do you think prayer plays in this activity?
I think it's one of the most vital components, that a lot of times a patient is giving their physical needs when actually some of the greatest needs are what's happening in their heart, in their life, and in the prayer room, a lot of times those needs come out.
So how has the clinic been of a help?
It has been very helpful. I don't know what would we have done without it. I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe sometimes go to the doctor, but it will be very hard for us to pay. Yeah, this clinic has been very, very helpful for us, for my family and the persons that I have been here. Like my mother was one, and it was a really big relief because she was so anxious that she wouldn't have the medicines. Two of my sisters-in-law came here and they needed help, how to help themselves better, have better health. I'm sorry. Like they have diabetes, and nutrition is very, very important. We are very grateful that that there is this community, this clinic that can help us, and we don't know how we will help these people, like my sisters-in-law and my mother. I don't know. I don't have any idea how we do this without this clinic.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask you why you do this, and what benefit or what do you think the patients get out of your service and the clinic?
I'll answer that in a very selfish way. I get a very good feeling of helping others. That's one of my gifts, is I like to help others. I'm retired. I have plenty of time now, and it wouldn't operate without volunteers. And I take that very seriously, the chance to give back. I think this is a huge benefit to the people who come to the clinic. I think there's no way they could obtain medical care, a lot of these people, if there wasn't a free clinic, if they didn't have this resource to come to. And many of these people are working, and it's wonderful that this happens on a Saturday morning where they can come in when they're not otherwise employed. So it's a benefit to me, it's a benefit to the people.
Jim, I just want to thank you on behalf of Polk Community Free Clinic, the other volunteers, and our patients. Just thank you for your servant's heart, and what you do is so important. It does take a lot of people to set this clinic up and run this clinic.
I just really like how friendly everyone is. I'm glad I came to Polk. It seems like it's more relaxed. I like how it's not in a clinic setting, it's in a church. And
as God has led me to do that.
I volunteer here because God has gifted me. I'd just like to give back. And I love to promote health.
I love volunteering because of just being able to give back to people.
It's a benefit to me, it's a benefit to the people.
Because I wish them well, and I hope that they're all able to heal with whatever condition they came in.
If that stop had not been made that morning, it's very possible, it is a very strong chance, I could have suffered a massive heart attack by this time.
Thank you, thank you, thank you